Hey everybody, it's Michael from Replica Airguns with another tabletop video review. Again, not really a tabletop. This is such a large gun. It's a rifle. It's a arrow shooting PCP double-barreled rifle. You got a lot going on here. It's probably one of the bigger guns that I've reviewed. Now I have reviewed the AirSaber, the previous version, which is the single arrow version, or single barrel. If you can see here, one is a double barrel, one is a single barrel. We'll go over some of the differences as well and some of the similarities, because there's a lot of similarities and there's a few differences, really good differences, good things that they've changed with the new version. So it's the AirSaber Elite X2, and again, it's a PCP double arrow, double barreled system. It shoots bolts or arrows. I'll show you them real quick. And these arrows just go right. So they're hollow and they actually go over top of the barrel and they feed in. So they stick out a little bit when they're in there. You can see them. They have to, because if you're using different arrowheads, they'll need to stick out a little bit, obviously. But we'll go over some of the main differences first between the Elite X2 version, which is the double barreled version, and the single barreled version. Okay, so right off the top, I'm just going to show you the length. You'll notice that the double-barreled version is a little bit longer, okay? So that's the case. It's also just a slight bit heavier. I'll go into the specs, and I'll actually tell you the specs of both of them as well when I do that, just so you know. You're also going to find a latch system, right, like this, versus a bolt system, right, on the previous version. Other than that, they're really similar. There's one more thing that you'll note. You have this little, basically it's a push system, and that just selects which barrel you're shooting from. So if you're, say, right-handed, you can shoot and then pop it over, right? Work the latch, and you can shoot your second arrow. So obviously the advantage to having double arrows or double-barreled system is you get quicker follow-up shots, because you don't have to throw an arrow on there and then do that. You're probably going to be able to do a follow-up shot, within a second or two, especially if you get proficient with using the system. So, okay, let's go over some of the specifications right now and kind of show you the box and show you what comes with it. And I'm going to read it because I don't want to miss anything. By the way, both of these guns are available in our Canada Replica Airgun store over at replicaairguns.ca. I'll put links in the description. We may even have them in our US store, so if I do, I'll put links in the description as well for them in the US store. All right, so the ammunition is basically a carbon fiber 350 grain arrow or bolt, whatever you want to call it. I'd call it an arrow because it's a little bit longer. They look more like arrows to me. And they do come with the field tips. Comes with 3 of them. They do come with the field tips, which is going to be best for practicing on targets, right, if you want to get proficient with shooting it. But you can unscrew them and put broadhead arrows for hunting on them. So you might want to have a few different types of arrows or buy some more. Okay. And also it is a PCP system, so you will need some sort of a foot pump or air tanks or some sort of air compressor, high pressure air compression system. Now I do want to mention that this version, the X2 version, has a tank that can fill up to 400 PSI versus the basically 3,600 PSI of the previous version. Now the previous version tank was slightly larger at 250 cc versus this guy, the X2, being 240. But keep in mind, you can put more air, higher pressure, which means you can actually get more air in that tank, even though it's slightly smaller. And so that said, you're going to get about 25 shots with both guns, but you will get 450 FPS. Now what that equivalates to in energy is 169 foot-pounds with the X2. Now, the weight of the X2 is 8.7 pounds. I'm not sure if that's with the scope. I believe it is, versus 6.3 pounds for the previous single barrel version or single arrow version. With a scope isn't going to raise it up that much, so you're probably looking at, maybe just under 7 pounds versus 8.7 pounds. So it is slightly heavier. Now the total length, as I showed you, is 42.5 inches for the X2 and 41 inches for the standard AirSaber. All right, so you will notice that there's and I did point it out, there's the side cocking for the double shot, single, and then for the single shot, there's a bolt action. So that's the other difference. And both of them have essentially a single action only trigger, so you will have to either work the bolt or the side cocking latch system. And they both have cross bolt trigger safeties that will, and I will show you the gun up a little closer, and I'll sort of zoom in on there on the trigger. You see the trigger safety, so you do have to disengage that if you want to shoot it. Both of them are made out of metal and polymer, and both of them have very comfortable pistol grips for easy hold and control. And they also both have Picatinny rails on the top for the scope, and then you have on the left and right side and bottom, so you could put a bipod on there, you could put a tack light, you could put a red dot. I guess you could even put a foregrip on there if you really wanted to. I don't think that would be a great idea personally. And they do have these really nice, comfortable rubber butt plates, exactly the same on both of them. All right, and now I believe with the standard AirSaber you could get it, or at least you could get it without a scope. So if you have your own scope, you could put it on there, but you can also, I believe, get it with a scope. This version that I'm showing you here today came with a scope, and it's a 4x32 scope, or sorry, 4x30 scope. And of course, both of these guns are distributed by Umarex, okay? And they're not replicas. They're not, even though this is a replica channel, I do review, you know, air rifles, break barrel rifles, spring piston rifles, non-replica products that we sell in the store, and this is one of them. And it's really basically going to be, it's for hunting small, medium, and even larger game. I wouldn't say I'd want to really hunt small game with it. You know, maybe if you're using the standard arrows, you could do that. But these arrows are just going to go right through something small and probably just going to lose them. So you might want to look at something different, a lower powered version of a similar type of product, right? Maybe the CO2 version, right? Okay, so it does come in a cardboard box. Let's take a look at it real quick. Oop, right? Not too much going on. So quick valve release technology, PCP, obviously refillable, high pressure shaft technology. That's how the arrows go over the shaft, or they go over the barrels, but they have a high pressure capacity. Straight flight. So essentially, with a crossbow or any standard bow, all of the push comes from behind, so the arrow can sometimes, as it flies out, because it's pushed from behind, it'll do this a little bit in the air. But essentially with this system, it's pushing the front of the arrow, okay? Because all the air is pushing the front of the arrow. And so it tracks through the air much better. Something important that everyone should know. So not too much else going on here. It's hard to read upside down, but okay, so 450 feet per second. Again, in the box, you get your 3 arrows, right? With the standard tips. You can put broadhead on there. This was on the front of the barrel. It just goes on the barrel, right? So that it keeps it clean so that dirt doesn't get in there. You don't want that. So when you're not using it, you do get this nice compact 4x30 scope. And I do have to mention, wrong way, that it's nice because you have 4 lines, horizontal lines. So it doesn't just have cross like a standard cross. You've got the one sort of line that comes straight down, and then you have 4 lines that go across, which is really nice because if you're shooting at different distances, you can adjust easily using that for different distances once you get used to it. Of course, you get the manual. I'm not going to really show it too much, but you're going to have, you know, all the information about how to work this gun, use this gun, how to pressurize it, how to fill it, because you will have to fill it with air, compressed air. It is PCP. It also comes with this, forget the actual name of it, but basically, this is the part that you would connect to your air compressor or your pump, and then it actually goes in here, okay, like that, and then you can fill it up, okay? So you do need this to fill up this product, so don't lose that. And then you have this Allen key, and the only thing I can see that it actually fits into is this sort of cross, it's a cross bolt for basically selecting which barrel you're going to shoot out of. I guess you could take this off somehow. I'm not sure why you'd want to. There are little O-rings on there, so maybe if an O-ring comes off or breaks, you can use this to take it off and replace an O-ring. So that's what I'm thinking. Looks pretty good. And does it fit in these ones? No, it doesn't fit in those ones. So that's what it's for. Now, I'm probably not going to do a field test. It would be an outdoor field test with this product. This is 169 foot-pounds of energy is a lot. I don't really have a backstop at this point in time to test it. And I don't want to lose arrows. I don't want to shoot something and have it go straight through it. Or, you know, I don't want to put anybody in danger. I do live on a farm with lots of space between me and my neighbors, so that shouldn't be an issue. But still, I do want to shoot it safely with the right type of backstop. So unless I can find something, then I won't be doing a field test for this gun. But I would like to, so maybe I can potentially get a proper backstop that supports this kind of, you know, power, right? Okay, so let's do a bit of a walk around, and then we'll get into some of the pros and the cons. I want to get in here and let you see it. So this is the latch system, okay? So, right, and then take it off safe. So there's your safety there. It is on safe. So take it off safe, and then you're ready to shoot. A little bit, I don't believe there's any air pressure in here. Yeah, it's pretty much at zero. But it's a single action trigger, so you need to cock it, right? Each time, right? And then switch it over for the second barrel. There's your Picatinny rail right there. Nice and beefy. This gun is really well made. It's super solid, right? There's your rear butt plate. Nice rubber butt plate. Pistol style grip here. Okay. Got your Umarex, right? AirSaber Elite X2. There's your front pick rails, bottom and sides. You've got a little bit of texturing here for grip, right? Let's see the front here. There's your two barrels, and the arrows just go over top. They don't go all the way in, so they're still sticking out a little bit. There's your fill reservoir, and there's where you put the probe in there. It's like a probe that connects to your pump or whatever you're using to fill it. And then there's a gauge as well on the bottom here. Okay, so you can see what your PSI is, and it goes up to 4,000 PSI, not PCI, PSI. And this screw would be probably to take the gun apart. That's all that's for there. All right, it's hot in here, so I'm gonna move on to the pros and the cons, wrap this video up before I sweat to death. It's in the sea can in the summer. It gets pretty warm, and I'm trying to do this video a little earlier in the day so I don't fry. All right, so some pros. It's a Canadian non-PAL airgun with enough power to hunt medium and larger game. So what I mean by that is you're not required a firearms license. Because it shoots under 500 feet per second, it does have a lot of energy, but it would need to be over 500 feet per second, and with that energy, the high energy, to be considered a regulated firearm. So it's a non-regulated firearm, which is really nice because you can, pretty much anybody can buy this and hunt with it. Now, the overall price point is good. Nothing like this really compares. It's not hard to compare something like to this, right? I mean, for sure you can get, you know, standard powder burning rifles for cheaper, but again, this doesn't require a PAL or anything like that, so it's kind of nice for someone who doesn't want to take the gun course and get their PAL, although I recommend it if you're interested in hunting. Now, the arrows are propelled from the front again, so there's no archer's paradox. That's what I was trying to explain when aiming, so you don't get that wobble of the arrow going through the air, because it's essentially being pushed from the front. Not really pulled, but pushed from the front. And arrows come with the field tips, but you can easily unscrew them and replace them with broad tip arrows for hunting. And it does have that easy to use crossbolt safety on the trigger, right? So it's right there, it's easy to get to. And it has the pistol grips that allow for easy hold and control. And again, the fit and finish is outstanding on this product. It's really solid. There's nothing, you know, really that you can complain about with fit and finish for sure. And the PCP, so compressed air, is going to give more powerful shots and consistency than CO2. So there is a CO2 version of this product that's smaller, a little bit less power, but you know, this one is going to be better in terms of just consistency and power, but you are required, again, to have some sort of way to compress the air in it, which is an extra cost, so keep that in mind. The Picatinny rails on top for the scope are great, sides, bottom for other accessories, so you got lots of mounting points to put accessories on here. Of course, the most important one will be that scope that you're going to put on top. And the rubber butt plate for added comfort is nice and thick. It's not overly soft, but it's good. This gun doesn't have a ton of recoil, so you don't need a crazy rubber butt plate on there. And I like the improved ease to use side cocking system. It's definitely nicer than the bolt, smoother, quicker, I'd say. Going to be easier to use and get quicker follow-up shots because you do have that double barrels system that allows for quick follow-up shooting. And the higher PSI that you get, so 4,000 versus around 36, I believe it was 3,600, yeah, 3,625. It basically gives a faster, higher velocity, so 450 feet per second trajectory or power, right? So what that means is you're going to just get more power, more foot-pounds of energy. It's going to get there quicker. It's going to arc less, right? So you're not going to have as much arcing through the air. And you still get 25 shots per fill, which is nice. So that's good because it's got the higher 4,000 PSI. That's pretty much it. I think that's all I've got. So we're going to get into the cons now. So I'm a little bit sidetracked here. I'm just sweating to death here. I'm really hot. I got to wrap this thing up before I die. All right, you're going to need a pump, and you're going to, or some sort of compressed air system. So keep that in mind. That is an extra cost. Pumping it up with a foot pump at 4,000 PSI is a lot of work. Trust me, I wouldn't want to do it today in the C-can. But you can fill it up, just maybe, you don't have to do it all in one shot. When I'm filling up something like this, I'll come back to it in a little bit. I'll do a little bit, then I'll do a little bit, so I don't get all sweaty. And it will require a proper backstop system to practice safely with. So, you can't just shoot this in your garage. What if you miss the target? It's going to probably go right through that gyprock wall, and who knows where it's going to end up, so you don't want to do that. And you probably want a little bit of distance. This is more for kind of hunting, so you're probably going to want to be able to shoot at least 50 to 75, maybe even 100 feet with it, and get used to those ranges. And arrows are not cheap, so make sure of your shots, or you're going to be going through arrows. We're not talking pellets or even rifle ammunition. These are a little bit more expensive, but they are reusable, so that's the plus there as well. That's a nice thing. All right, again, this is available in our Replica Airguns Canada Airgun store. Don't forget to check out the blog, where I'll be putting a written post for this product with, again, links to it wherever we have it available. Okay, so keep that. Go and check out replicaAirguns.com, and I'll put a link there in the description. If you're interested in other products, air guns, BB guns, airsoft guns, pellet guns, blank guns, and other accessories, again, go to replicaAirguns.ca for Canada, replicaAirguns.us for the US. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And of course, make sure to subscribe before you head out on the Vimeo channel. And that's pretty much it. I want to thank you for watching another Replica Airguns video. Again, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, take care.